Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 21 Hats podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Feldman. This week, Shawn Busse, Jay Goltz, and Sarah Segal talk about what they hope to accomplish in 2023. Sarah's moving into new offices, looking for 20% growth, and hoping to land a chocolate company as a client. Shawn's looking for new space too, and attempting to reposition his business to shake the corrosive effects of the pandemic. And Jay's employing a methodical 12-step process to assess how his business is performing. Hiring? Check. Pricing? Needs work. Inventory levels? Way out of line. Office technology? Major problems. And then there are his ongoing efforts to mentor his two sons in the business and prepare for the inevitable. These days, Jay tells us, he's especially careful when getting in front of buses. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know our business owners discuss their journeys with unusual candor. But in some episodes, we go especially deep. This is one of those episodes. Even in good times, owning and running a business can be a lonely pursuit. Our hope is that these weekly conversations will let owners know they are not alone in facing challenges. Same thing with our daily newsletter, the 21 Hats Morning Report, which Inc. magazine recently named the best newsletter for business owners and which you can subscribe to for free at 21hats.com, where you can also find transcripts of our podcast episodes and lots of other articles and interviews. Joining me this week on the podcast are regulars Shawn Busse, CEO of Kinesis, which is based in Portland, Oregon, and works with small businesses on marketing, culture, and strategy. Jay Goltz, whose companies in Chicago include a picture frame business, artist frame service, and a home furnishing store, Jason Home. And Sarah Segal, who is founder and CEO of Segal Communications, a public relations firm based in San Francisco. The episode is titled, Jay Goltz's 12-Step Business Checkup. Welcome, Shawn, Jay, and Sarah. It's great to have you here. Last week, we had a really good conversation about plans and goals for next year. In fact, I thought it was so interesting, I decided to do it again this week with a mostly different group. The best part of doing this is that it means for the rest of the coming year, I'll be able to say, Jay, I thought you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z in 2023. How come you're not doing it?
And you've never been able to say that so far, so that's a nice
right. Well,
challenge.
I just want to make sure.
Okay.
So let's start with you, Jay. What are you planning for 2023?
I am very much into, and I've had been for years, I work on the business, not in the business. So the bigger picture stuff, especially since, the looming whatever, what the economy is going to be like. My new phrase is, let's turn all the dials. So I'm just looking at everything I'm doing, and I'm going to sit down with all of my managers and say, okay, let's see where we're at on these 12 items. And I'll very quickly, how's our hiring process? Very good, real good. I'm feeling great about that. 2, our employee retention, great.
How many of these are there?
12, but they're all take 5-10 seconds each.
Okay.
Do you have the time?
Yes.
3, this one's tricky. Employee performance. Do I only have 8, 9s, and 10s working, or out of 10? Pretty close. Yeah, I have to say it. We're good there. 4, are we buying the right products? We going to enough trade show? Yeah, we're doing really well with that. 5, inventory levels. Way out of line at the moment because of the whole stuff didn't come in for months, and then all of a sudden all came in at once. My inventory is way out of control. I got to work that back down. 6, cash availability. I've changed banks. I've got a new credit line, so I'm good there. Pricing, markdown protocols. I'm working on that. That is an issue these days with different shipping costs have gone up.
Markdown protocols meaning?
Meaning, when do you start having things on sale if you've had it in the floor for 3 months and it hasn't sold? I mean, when you're in retail or any business, I would say you need to make sure that you keep inventory going out if it's not selling. So somebody needs to pay attention to that. 8, budget creation. We do that every year, monitoring it. Is it accurate? This year, I'm putting extra attention into real estate taxes have gotten crazy in Chicago. They've gone up 20% in some cases. I got to make sure that I'm charging myself enough rent even though I own the building. That's how people get themselves in trouble over a long period. They start to subsidize their business with the fact that they're not charging themselves what the building's worth. So you look like you're really profitable. In reality, you're taking advantage of the fact you own the building, but you should be able to make money on both ends. Marketing, looking at everything, direct mail, radio ads, the website, social media, PR, events. Is there anything we could be doing with that? 10, risk management. In this case, the big one is cybersecurity. I need to pay more attention to safety protocols. I've realized I could do everything right in this business and be a genius, and none of it will matter if somebody took a space heater and plugged it in to an extension cord, plugged into another extension cord, and the place burns down. I mean, it's a problem. There's a bunch of space heaters on around here, and I've got to pay more attention to that. 11, technology, got major problems. I'm on a legacy thing for years. I'm going to have to spend a lot more money.
Legacy thing, meaning your
software, I'm terribly out of date.
Customer relations management?
Everything I have. The hardware is, some of it's 6 years old, and I'm told, yeah, you shouldn't have 6-year-old servers because they won't match the new stuff. I wasn't paying any attention to it. And I'm bringing in a computer consulting firm to look at everything we're doing, and I'm going to spend a lot of money to do it. And I wasn't prepared to do that before. And now I realize I have to. So that's my major one of all of them. And finally, 12 is just the facility management, which I feel good about. I'm taking care of the building. Of all of them, yeah, I got a couple of major issues. The technology issue, and I got to work my inventories down, and then continue to work on any marketing I can think of. So, I've just learned, when you do everything right as much as you can, stop talking about recession, whatever, do everything you can, and the business will get through the next whatever it is and be okay.
Jay, let me ask you, that was really interesting, but it doesn't sound like a plan to me. It's not setting goals. It's more of an annual physical. Do you make a distinction between those things?
Well, I certainly have goals for what we want to hit for performance, but there's two things in business. There's turning the dial, and then there's looking at the gauge. So yeah, I want the gauge to say X million, but to get there, I got to play around with the gas, the combination and everything else. So there's the two ends.
Aren't you looking at those gauges throughout the year?
Yeah, absolutely. And I recognize we're in some questionable times, and given the circumstances, I'm certainly not coming up with anything too aggressive with spending money that I don't need to, because I don't know, 2023 could turn out to be a little soft. So I'm playing it conservatively, but I'm trying to fix everything I can fix. The technology piece, I have not paid attention to for years.
So that's where you could set a goal. What's your goal?
My goal is to have it all fixed.
By
4 months. I have a completely different head than I had a year ago. When the consulting firm would come in and go, oh, it's going to be 140. Oh, I'm not doing that. Well, now I reckon this is going to be a 6-figure for sure expenditure. And I know I need to do it. My servers are just going to go down one day. So I recognize that there's some stuff you just can't kick down the road. And that's not my expertise. That's not where I pay attention. But I recognize now, if I have a big problem, that's what it's going to be. And I also know I'm wasting a ton of labor on stuff that's extremely inefficient, because our technology is it's just old. And when I hire young people now, they look at this and they go, what is this? What's DOS? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I've got screens that they don't look like it. They're from 30 years ago. So I need to upgrade all that. And the problem is, I'm the biggest one in the industry, so it's like I'm too big to go take canned software, but I'm too small to write it myself. So it's a problem. I guess the point of the story is you can't pay attention to 11 out of the 12 things. That's my point of the day.
Jay, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any personal goals that are associated with the business? Like things that you're like, I really want to get this client.
My personal goal is that the business gets more profitable. And I'm certainly got my 2 children that are here that I'm trying to mentor to take over more responsibility. So my personal goal is to mentor my 2 children better, and to get the business more profitable, and to continue my goal of having this business be able to run without me, because one of these days I'm not going to be here.
How do you mentor your kids? What does that look like?
Well, as the parent, this is very different than mentoring an employee. You need to calm down and not, what would be a good word? I just have to calmly explain to them. It's very difficult to take a kid who did not grow up working in this business. My kids did not grow up working the counter in my business, framing pictures. They were out in the suburbs. I was in the city. So my kids did not grow up working in this business, and it's very difficult to have a 33-year-old plop in to a 130-person company and really understand the nuances of the people part, the customer. So I'm having to be, there's a good word. I have to be patient with explaining how the whole thing works. And there's times where it's frustrating because you hope that everybody would just get it right away, but it takes some patience. So I'm getting more structured. I'm thinking about, all right, we're going to just work on pricing for this week, and it's good. I'm explaining where they come from, and I just have to have some patience because I'm trying to cram 43 years.
You've mentioned that a couple of times. Are you struggling with that? The patience?
I don't know if struggling. I'm conscious of it. I don't think I'd say struggling. I think I'd say I've got it under control. It certainly took some energy, though. It certainly took some awareness on my part. It certainly took one bad meeting where I went home sick to my stomach, which because I called you, because I always call you, that I was really sick to my stomach. Like, God, I shouldn't have said that. And I think I had to hit rock bottom before I realized I need to take a different approach, and I will never do that again.
Are you writing this down? Like, are you creating kind of like a
diary of my madness of
No, but like for your kids, like your institutional knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I actually typed a very thorough document of here's where we're at, here's where we're going, because what I realized is we're on the same page. We all agree I don't need to open more stores. So I wrote down everything where we're at. The part that has become the challenge, for lack of another word, is this looming, and I'm not used to this because this is not the way I think. I am an optimist. Okay, now that doesn't mean I see everything through rose-colored glasses and I'm just this optimist fool that's going to go broke because I don't realize what's going on around me. I've had to say to my kid, to one of them, you know what? I somehow managed to make it 43 years and you don't have any school debt and you're living real nice. Maybe I should get a little credit because sometimes what you hear is we're going to go broke next year. Like, really? There's a fear element there I'm just not used to because I've never been afraid. If anything went wrong, I dug in and I fixed it and I moved on. And I'm not used to the way normal people think, maybe. And I've had to recognize I need to be more patient with that and explain, no, we're not going broke next year.
Can you clarify? Are you... Like, is this the voice in your head is saying this now that has never been there before? Is this your son saying this?
No, this is my son saying this.
It's your son, so he's concerned.
We'll say, what if we don't hit the number? I go, so here's the budget. Well, what if we don't hit the numbers? You haven't hit the numbers the last few. Okay, yeah, we didn't hit the numbers. It's been a difficult last few years. So I don't know what to say to that. Like, trust me? Like, that's the point. I never had the voice in my head. Now I have it on the outside. And I'm not used to that because I've always just dug in and fixed whatever I had to fix. And I know this might sound odd to some people. I certainly have had major stress and concern and couldn't pay the bills and was figuring out how to pay everything. I don't think I've ever thought, oh my God, I'm going broke. I don't think that ever crossed my mind in 43 years. It just hasn't. And I'm not used to
Did your son actually say that we might go broke? Or is that what you're hearing because he's asking you about the numbers?
He'll say, we need to put money into this over here. Yes, I got it. He's right. We're going to put more money into blah, 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 blah. And like, maybe we're going to have to raise prices. And eventually people aren't going to want to pay the prices. And okay, so what are you saying? We're going to be broke in 5 years? I mean, yeah, kind of. So no, I'm not making this up. There's this anxiety of what if? And I don't know what to say to that. Like I see, there's a perfect example. Here's the budget for next year. Well, how do we know we're going to hit these numbers? Yeah, I don't. It's a budget. I think we'll hit these numbers. Well, we haven't hit them in the last couple of years. Okay. Well, so what should we do? Should we just shut the business? Tell me what should we just shut the business down to? I don't know what to do with that.
Have you asked him like where the fear is coming from?
I don't know. Can you ask somebody where anxiety comes from?
Some of the conflicts I have with my parents, if I really dig into it, the fear that I have is that their health will fail them. They don't have very good financial resources. And so I worry that I won't be able to care for them, right? Like that I won't have enough resources to care for them. So I start to have these weird fears about their decision making and all this. But at its root, I'm really concerned for them and their well-being. It would be interesting to maybe figure that out a little bit deeper.
Well, I can just tell you in this case, which is why there really isn't a problem. Like, we're good. I mean, really. And I would tell you, trust me, we're good. Like no one's losing their house. No one's going broke. We're good. Now, did we hit the numbers we wanted? No, absolutely we didn't. But this is where I say it's unfair of me to take somebody, plug them into this thing and expect they're going to get it.
Yeah. He's never seen the hard time.
No, well, he's lived through, he certainly knows I've been short of cash over the years. And I certainly recognize that my wife she's got PTSD from being married to me. It took me a long time to figure that out. Like there's been lots of times in the last 42 years where we were really short of cash and business was off and I owed money and I go, you stop sending money. And like, I get it. Now, did my kids pick that up too? Probably. I mean, some of this is certainly, but at this stage, he's old enough. I share all the numbers. We're good. I don't know what to say. We're good.
Yeah, but I'm betting that he's never felt the kind of anxiety you felt earlier in your career when, like you're not sure if you're going to be able to get through this thing and et cetera, et cetera. And so you have a lifetime of overcoming adversity. And now he's starting to see like the full picture of the business.
Yes.
And seeing the full picture, and I'm feeling this a little bit too with my team where, we had a month where like we lost money and like we haven't lost money in forever. And, the kind of looks on all their faces was like, just like kind of like dread. And because we do open book management and yet, I'm like, we'll be fine. We've had bad times before. We've gotten through it, but it's you can't just transfer that overnight.
No, I get it, which is why I say it takes some patience. And I get it. People need to know, sometimes you lose money for a month or two, or maybe for a year. It happens.
Yeah.
The best thing that happened is my one bad meeting. I got to tell you, it was a wake up call to me because I was just sick to my stomach and I fixed it. I met the next day. I went through everything. I typed up this whole thing. Look, we're on the same page. I think I got it under control now and I'm having much better meetings now and I'm going through it. But there certainly have been some frustrating moments where, like I said, I'll just go, not screaming, just go like, so tell me what we should do. Should we just shut the business down? Should I fire all the employees? Tell me what we should do. Because that's kind of, what's the point?
You're defensive and protective of the business that you built, and that's totally reasonable. I'm sure that your kids have a different perspective on some stuff and want to make some changes. And it's finding that place where it's like, you can make changes. You're a little bit more open to like letting that kind of fresh eyes come in. And I think that can be challenging for anybody who, you blood, sweat, and tears, like building a business. What is your time? Do you have a timeline, like a plan for the timeline?
No, I don't. I absolutely don't have one.
He's working on it.
Yeah, no, I might be, assuming I'm alive. I plan on going to work every day. I have absolutely no aspirations. I see these people.
No aspirations to sell the business or.
Not just none, zero. Two, go to Florida, go to Arizona, sit around, eat golf, sit around at lunch, play poker or something. Shoot me. I just have I respect people that want to do that. That's just not who I am. I don't want to do that.
So I had a client that the son took over the business from the father. And it's just really interesting to see the difference of mindset. And I think you put your finger on it, Jay, which is the son is worried about losing and the father was obsessed with what could be achieved. Anytime the business hit a bumpy spot, the son would do kind of the worst behavior from a leader, which is to like totally change course, kind of freak out the team, cancel key initiatives. And these were just like blips, and I think that is a big difference between founding a business and taking over a business. And I think that's a really not discussed thing very often.
Frequently, it's the opposite. I was in Young Presidents Organization where I see this all the time. They've never seen a problem. So the kid takes over and is going to go, we're going to open up 10 more. And I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Now, in this case, the part that's frustrating me is we're on the same page. I'm not trying to grow it like crazy. I'm just trying. We're on the same. We're totally on the same page. So could we just be happy for a day or two? Could we just say, okay, that's great. That looks good. I mean, could we just do that? Would that be a terrible thing to just actually think maybe doomsday's not coming?
Yeah, but like put yourself in his shoes, Jay, right? Like you've accomplished a pretty remarkable thing. And I'm sure part of him is, feels a serious obligation and fear around harming the thing his dad has created. I'm going to assume you love each other, right?
Yeah, no, we have a very good relationship.
So, I think it would be worth your while to just really try to explore where he's coming from with his fear.
It can't be easy to step into a situation like that, not having worked in the business.
Absolutely. And I get all of that. Absolutely.
You have big shoes to fill, Jay.
So I certainly could say, could you just explain to me why you think, and I certainly can do that. And I will also say, my kids give me some great ideas. I'm not always right, for sure. There are times where I am too optimistic and I go, okay, I see there. So both of my kids have absolutely caught things that I wasn't paying attention to. And so that's, if you ask me how, it's great. I love having my kids here. They've absolutely given me some perspective of stuff I wasn't paying attention to because I don't pay attention to everything. I said a bunch of things in this one thorough document I gave them. I go, one is be respectful to the employees that paid for your college, that paid for your lifestyle. And two, don't insinuate that I'm like some optimistic buffoon that doesn't realize what's going on. I mean, it really, and like I said, I've taken all of my trigger out of it. I'm telling you, I don't get upset anymore. I'm very patient.
I know, but dude, just that last sentence, what you said about the employees, like the amount of fear that could put into somebody, right? I mean, you basically told your children, you have a massive debt to these employees. Don't fuck it up. I mean, I think it's wonderful. Honestly, I would suspect you've raised great children, and your child is really worried about letting you down. I would bet you $100 that's where he's coming.
No, I'm sure. No, there's for sure.
And then because you have such compassion and empathy for your team, it's not like he's worried about just letting dad down. He's worried about letting down all these families that he's grown up with that are kind of part of the family too. That's a big obligation. Like that's a lot to carry.
If you got hit by a bus tomorrow, do you think your son would do a good job?
Let me just change the question. Do I think either of them could just take over the No, clearly not. Are they doing some important good things? Absolutely. But could they just step in and no? At 32 and 37, no.
That's a lot to ask.
I don't think age has anything to do with it. I mean,
well, it certainly has something to do with it. If the older you get, the more experience you get. But do I think they have the temperament? What I believe is an entrepreneur, you have to have the three things. You have to have the head for it. You have to have the heart for it, and you have to have the stomach for it. And the fact is, most people don't have all three, which is why everyone doesn't own their own business. I mean, that's just reality. You can't have two out of the three. Do my kids have all three of those things to run this business on their own? I don't know. We'll see. It's certainly early in the game, and I'm being careful to getting in front of buses, that's for sure.
If you don't have confidence in them, they probably sense that as well.
I don't think they could possibly think they could step into this role. They don't have the experience. I have confidence in some of the things they're doing that are all valuable, but I don't think they would think they're ready to take over the business. So I don't think they would expect me to go, oh yeah, my kid's all set. He's been here for, keep in mind, my youngest one's been here for a year and a half.
That's your plan then. That's your figuring out, okay, what are the 10 things that need to be checked off so you could literally get hit by a bus at the end of the year and be fine.
No, forget about could. I am going to die at some point. There's no question about that. So it's not a could. It's when I leave the business, I need to try to do everything I can to make sure that the business will continue. Well, I don't have to. I want to. I don't want to sell the business. I'm doing everything I can to prepare my children for taking over at least the oversight of the business, because I do have key people here.
And that's planned out? Like you have on a piece of paper? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is it a fully formed? Is it? No, but I put down at the moment, back to the getting hit by the bus thing, I definitely have a thing going, okay, didn't expect to die early, but it is what it is. Here's my thoughts. And I have in there at the end of the day, do what you need to do. I put in there, my biggest nightmare would be that my kids end up getting hung with this business. They don't want to be here. Do whatever you need to do. Don't ever use the phrase, Dad's turning in his grave. Once I'm gone, I'm gone. I do not want my kids. I've seen this. I do not want this business to be hung around my kids' neck as a weight that if they say, I don't want to deal with this, I want to shut it down, do whatever you need to do. I'm not putting that on my kids. I don't want my kids being miserable. So if I'm gone and business gets harder and something goes wrong, if they end up saying, you know what, we just got, okay, do what you got to do.
So, Sarah, what are your plans and goals for the next year?
So honestly, my planning is one of those things that I'm not very good at because I don't usually have a lot of time to sit down and focus on it, just because, I'm trying to get myself out of the weeds. But, I do have checkbox plans that I'd like to accomplish over the year. I basically put them together as like goals. What's important to me in terms of my business is, first of all, looking at the year and kind of doing an audit and talking to the team and being like, well, what did we do well, right? What did we not do well? And kind of assessing that. And then my questions generally when I do annual reviews is, what are you liking doing? What are you finding exciting about your job? What would you like to do more of? Because my philosophy is that, most people that work for me aren't going to be with me forever. I have no expectation of that, but I want them to look back at their experience with me as a learning and growing experience. And then I always have some personal professional goals, like some of them are just silly. Like this year I had a personal or professional goal of landing a chocolate company. I really want to do PR for a chocolate company.
Did you?
No!
I have a great chocolate company in Colorado I buy from, Choco Love. I'm going to hook you up.
I'm good at chocolate. Like I understand that I can taste good. My family and I, we've done this on vacation before where I bought 25 different kinds of bar chocolate and we did blind taste testings. And it was just fun to see really what you like outside of the packaging and the marketing. And I was like, gosh, I would love to do a chocolate company. I failed at that. I did get a couple people saying, hey, you should do this chocolate company. This one, you should do this one. But yeah, I failed on that one. But yeah, I try to put together attainable goals. And then my goal for the company is to continue to grow, but at a pace that makes people continue to want to work for me. I don't want to get a client that's going to make us, push us into working crazy hours. I like to have the good work-life balance for my team and I respect their personal time. So no big epiphanies on my side just yet.
So what's the growth? So when you say you want to grow, what's the number? You want to grow at 20%? Do you want to grow at 10%? Grow at 50%? What's the number?
Well, this year I put 100% growth as my goal. I didn't grow that much. I grew probably about by 20% this year. I think, 20% growth is healthy.
It's nothing to sneeze at.
But also PR is a weird thing because you're not necessarily growing all parts of the business, right? Because you have consumer technology and B2B, and we have B2B technology. We have consumer goods. We have social media management that we provide. And then we have thought leadership. And so that's part of the question is, what are we doing well? And maybe we double down on some of those things. Maybe we're like, all right, we are nailing this content creation, which we are. We're doing a lot of video now. And because half of my team is from broadcast background, it makes sense. And I know that they're all enjoying it. It's fun to create that video content. And we know that all of the social media algorithms prioritize video. So we're probably going to double down on doing more content for our clients.
So how many employees do you have now?
I have 5 full-time and 4 contractors.
Okay. So that means if you grow 20% and you do lose someone along the way, you probably are going to that's not a lot of hiring. You probably have to bring on another 2-3 people. So that doesn't seem too burdensome. No,
yeah. I plan on hiring somebody in the new year because we just landed a winery and a brewery, which we're so excited about working on. We have a couple other clients that are strong possibilities. So I might have to hire somebody, another person by the end of Q1.
You're also moving into a new location, right?
Yes. We have a new office space in San Francisco. We literally just got the keys 10 days ago. It's a mess. It needs paint. I have an electrician coming on Saturday. I have a painter coming on Saturday. But yeah, we'll be in a new space. It's a great location. I had the team go there. We had an end of year kind of dinner, and we went there and we had a glass of champagne.
Nice.
Just to, for all of our hard work. My question to them is like, I know we're still going to have this kind of hybrid work, where people come in 2-3 days a week. Like, what would make this a place that you would want to spend more time at? And the consensus was that they want to make it feel like home, right? I want to wear anything. I'm like, you can wear anything you want. You can wear slippers for all I care. I don't care what you wear. Someone else was like, I really want really great carpeting. So when I'm just tired of sitting at my desk, I can lay flat on the ground. And I said, okay, we can do that. They want it to be cozy and welcoming. And so I'm doing that. I'm making it kind of a home away from home.
Sarah, was this the space that you lowballed the offer on? And
yeah,
what did you end up paying per square foot? So I assume it's triple net, but maybe it's full service.
Oh my God, it's not. It's a quirky place.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, I'll tell you exactly how much we're paying. So it's 800 square feet, so it's not very big, and we're paying $2,500 a month.
Okay.
So that's 30,000 divided by 8. You said it was 800 feet?
Yeah. So
you're paying about $38, $37 a foot.
Yeah. And it's not a full service building. It's a 2-flight walk up. It's literally like 2-3 blocks from Union Square.
So it's near Boudin's? Is it near Boudin's?
There's Boudin's everywhere in San Francisco.
Okay.
You know where it's near is the entrance to Chinatown. If you've ever seen it's called like the Dragon's Gate or Lion's Gate. I can't remember which animal it is. It's about a block from there. So it's like on the edge of the financial district. And the people that own the building is a nice couple.
Oh, nice.
They own the jewelry business downstairs. Like, it's a very family, and the people that are upstairs from us seem like they're in alternative energy, and
that's cool.
It's a low stress piece of real estate.
I love that. One of the lessons that I took away from the pandemic that I really failed to appreciate is it matters who you rent from. And I just, I looked at it in price and amenities before the pandemic. And now as we're looking at new office, I'm like, who owns the building? Because it really matters.
And I would say to you,
go buy a building.
Go buy a building with an SBA loan for 10% down. No, I mean it. Having no landlord is a beautiful thing. 10% down SBA loan.
Yeah, I'd like to do that maybe someday, but buying a building in San Francisco is
it's a different jam.
You're talking millions,
right.
Even just for a floor.
This would be a good time to buy, though, I suspect.
It's not.
If you could do it.
Barrier does not do what the rest of the country does. If I were to say, I have $2,500 a month to pay, and I would go to Chicago, I probably have a much sweeter space than I do.
Well, no, I can tell you exactly what you'd have. $37 a foot is what you pay for first floor retail space here. So what you've described here, which is my building, I can tell you exactly. I would say you could rent a third floor walk up probably for half what you're paying. That's about right. $18 a foot for not anymore.
That'd be about here in Portland. I bet that'd probably be $20 a foot, maybe something in that range.
Are customers ever going to come by this office?
That's a good question. I don't know. People aren't going anywhere right now still.
All right. Well, because I'm just suggesting that I've got this picture of the woman walking around in bathrobe and house slippers and another one laying on the floor. I'm not sure is the place I want to take customers to walk through.
Oh, well, what's interesting is I was reading an article I posted it on my LinkedIn. It was about whether or not you should let people wear tank tops to work. And, I have never had that stress of people dressing inappropriately. Even when I worked for another agency and I managed people knew what to do, and be appropriate. They're grown ups,
I've had that problem. I've had
too.
Some very difficult conversations that I decided I'm not having that one. I had someone else do it because it was a woman thing that you shouldn't have to tell somebody, but you have to sometimes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If someone doesn't hire us because somebody's wearing flip-flops in the meeting, I don't really want that client.
You sure?
I'm sure. Because like, you're not hiring us because of the way that we express ourselves in terms of what we wear. You're hiring us because we're good at our jobs and we'll deliver for you. Like, if you're that superficial, you're not going to be a client that I want to work with. I'm sorry.
Okay. Can I speak as the client that
Go for it.
you have no idea how competent the person you're talking to is? You're taking their word for everybody to say we do a great job. And when you look at them and they look like they're on their way to the beach, it makes you think, God, how professional are they? Are they really going to take care of business? And I'm just saying.
Then you wouldn't be a good client. You wouldn't be a good client.
I got it.
People would be like, way back when, like if you had tattoos, people would be like, they're awful, right? I respect people's creative expression through whatever they want to wear. And I'm not going to be the person that says don't lay on the ground in the middle of a client meeting. But like, if we're all working in the office and you just need to stretch out and like get a different perspective and look up at the ceiling, go for it.
Now, I agree with that. I'm just talking about when a client walks through, I'd like to give an image that we're professionals and we're taking care of business. And
well, they should know that because our metrics and what we're delivering for them anyhow. That superficial stuff shouldn't matter. I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, for some clients it does. But again, those are not the clients for me.
Shawn, you were part of our conversation last week and we ran out of time. We talked about the event you had, but we didn't get to your plans and goals for next year. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So a thing I've used in the past for planning is to create a theme for the year that helps kind of guide our decision making. And really, I'm still kind of working on this, but right now I see 23 as kind of a corner turn year in that a lot of the things that have been hard for us in the last couple of years because of the pandemic are now available to us again. So like I met with clients in the real world yesterday and it was a sales meeting and it was awesome. I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing. And this is why our business has been so hard for the last couple of years. You can just do so much more in person than you can over a Zoom call when it comes to, and I think, Sarah, you've talked about this a little bit. So for us, it's that corner turn. It's getting back to the things that were good before the pandemic, and then also changing things that maybe need to be changed. So, to use Jay's format of a list, the big one this year is a transition in the leadership team and really evolving that to a much higher level of sophistication so that they're looking at financials in the way I've looked at financials over the years. Also, our marketing and sales we're putting full force to that in every single way that we can. Big repositioning, going to launch a new website. We've already launched some productized services that are pretty exciting.
Shawn, are you doing the website yourself?
Yeah. Which is always a risk, but we're gonna give it a shot.
Wait, let's get granular for a second. What are you using to do your website?
WordPress is pretty much our go-to. We've used WordPress for many, many years, and it's solid, really great. IT, to your pain, Jay, our IT provider was awesome, went into the pandemic, sold to private equity, and is now total garbage. So we are absolutely switching on that. But that's a hard move. It's really a tough move to do because they're just woven into your business. And, picking a new one takes a lot of due diligence. I will say this. We hired a company earlier this year, and their value prop is to really take all the operational stuff and evaluate it and then help you select new vendors. That has been so awesome.
Wow.
They've helped us with insurance. They've helped us with IT. They're helping us with tax and finance because a lot of our vendors have become terrible.
What are they called?
Yeah, the company's called Zuna, Zuna. And, they have pretty extensive skills in these arenas. Like our 401k plan, we had a good provider, but as they've evaluated it, they're like, you're ready kind of for the next level. And the provider you're with is just, kind of set it and forget it at this point. And they're right. And I'm like, it's so helpful to have a third party just evaluating it with kind of a neutral disposition.
Wow.
And then also when vendors come to you and they try to sell you shit, you'll be like, you know what? We use this group. You're welcome to go talk to them. Good luck. And it just takes a lot of pressure off you as an owner. So that IT changed, but also we're changing our tax provider. Our tax provider, this is embarrassing. I have still not had my personal returns filed for last year.
Wow.
I extensioned and I missed the extension deadline. And my provider was like, mea culpa, we'll pay any fees and stuff you have to owe. This again, went for years. They were great. They sold to a large, national tax company and total garbage. So, got to switch that out.
And I can tell you the reason is they just don't care about the little clients.
No, they don't care
about the little clients. I can assure you the big clients got taken care of.
Yeah, totally. And then last, I know we're running out of time here. We're going to have a new office. We just toured them the other day. It was invigorating to just think about getting back into an office space. And I know some people will think I'm a dinosaur, but I'm telling you, it's going to make a difference.
Have you picked one?
No, but I'm excited about the market because it's pretty rough. And I think the vacancy level will play to our advantage.
What size space are you looking for?
I think it's somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet. And I'm also flirting. This is an interesting idea that was floated at dinner the other night, which is I've leased space before with a roommate, which is an awesome strategy to get more space than you need. And then one of you outgrows it and then the other one takes it over. The new idea, which was discussed, was, well, what if one company had it Monday, Wednesday, and the other was Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday was a free-for-all? And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting.
Sounds like a divorce settlement.
We looked at shared space before we ended up getting a smaller space that just suited us. And you're always going to feel like it's not yours. And your team is going to, they're going to put their nice desk items out and then not feel comfortable with somebody else.
I mean, I've done it before, Sarah, twice. And I've managed to make it work, and this was before the pandemic and we were in there 9 to 5 days a week. So it was workable under that model. And so I'm like, I think I can make it work. Requires, I think, some delineation of space. So like, this is a Kinesis area. This is the other company's area. Otherwise, I'm not talking hot desking between two companies. It's not that idea. And we tried the WeWork thing and
WeWork didn't work.
No, it's for the reason Sarah said. It's like you can't personalize it. You don't feel any kind of level of like ownership. And so folks just weren't excited to go in. So I think that's a non-starter for us.
Shawn, most of your plans and goals that you've discussed here involve kind of operations. What are you thinking in terms of performance of the business?
Oh, man. This is the first year, 22 is the first year I was saying, this is the first year our revenues declined in like 10 years. Even though our profits were better than last year, our revenues were not as good. And I want to reverse that trend in the coming year.
Wait a second. Are you sure you made more profit with less revenue? Is that broken? I'm not sure that's
but it's
broken.
Not enough. Sure. More profit than 21. I lose track of time because of COVID. But not compared to pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Some of that is artificial because we don't have an office. So we have a lot of expenses that went away and
fair enough.
So it's like short term, sure, we were more profitable, et cetera, but it's harmed the business long term. Like the pandemic, I'm starting to see now the corrosiveness of the pandemic. Like for a lot of folks, it was a shock.
Yeah.
And for us, it's been a slow corrosive effect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Here's the thing, dude. We were on a tear before the pandemic of how to prepare for a recession. We were doing all this workshops and we were talking to folks about how to do it. Well, surviving a recession is usually a 6 to 12 month thing. And so we were really well prepared for a 6 to 12 month shock, but the pandemic just kept going. We were fine in year one and even in year two, but it's like this most recent year, it's been really hard. I mean, we've really struggled on lots of fronts. And I really believe that it's just been we were prepared for a recession. We just weren't prepared for this long, steady slog. That's a good lesson.
Hey, you survived it. There's but there are a lot of businesses that didn't. I remember the beginning of the recession, there's this great PR agency in San Francisco. Their whole business is built on a focus of hospitality and food businesses. So like restaurants.
Oh man.
They had to like lay off everybody. They're coming back. I mean, because the leadership there is fantastic, but they were just decimated. And that's when I went, okay, everybody told me like, oh, when you start your agency, you really need to have a focus that you're only going to do tech or you're only going to do consumer. And I'm interested in too many things, but the pandemic made me go, oh, thank God I didn't do that.
Shawn, do you see a way out of the slog?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm really encouraged because the best sign you can get as an employer is when your employees look at the problem and have energy to work on it. You know, folks are like, hey, I want to get out there. I want to meet with people. I want to connect. I want to be part of our marketing engine. And that's awesome because, you know, the opposite of that is like, well, that's not part of my job description. You know, I think that's been a hallmark of starting to hire an older population. You know, like we went from like, we're a company of 20 and 30 year olds to now we're a company of like 30 and 40 year olds and some even older, like myself.
Whoa,
older than that. But like, you know, they've had kids, they've had tough marriages, they've gone through divorce. Like they've had these like life experiences that have challenged them. And so when we face a challenge in the business, they're like, you know what? I've gotten through hard things before. I'll help you get through this hard thing.
So you're just reinforcing whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
All right. On that note, my thanks to Shawn Busse, Jay Goltz, and Sarah Segal. We will meet again next year. Thanks, guys. Wait. Don't leave yet. If you have a question or a comment that you'd like the 21 Hats owners to address, send it to me by replying to your morning report or by email at lauren@21hats.com. That's LOREN@21hats.com. Do it now before you forget. And don't be afraid to tell Jay what you really think. He can take it. And if you got something out of this conversation, help us reach more business owners. Tell a friend. Subscribe and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to the Morning Report at 21hats.com. This episode was produced by Jess Thuberon, founder of Blank Word Productions. Okay, now you can leave. Thanks for listening, everyone.